Welcome to episode 6 of the Hike or Die Outdoor Adventure podcast. I am here with my adventure-loving friend Craig.
G'day.
And we are quite literally hiking down a trail to a campsite. So Craig, we've got two choices. I can either bang the theme song out on a couple of sticks, or you can go in later in editing and then drop the theme song in. I think we might go with plan B.
Righto.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks again for joining us on number 6. I'm really excited that we've come this far. I'm really excited about the feedback that you guys are giving us. And yeah, I guess that's what's keeping us going at the moment, right Craig?
For sure.
How are you anyway?
Yeah, good man. Just really glad to be out here. I think I told you I've had a little thing where I've been pretty sick.
Yeah, you were sick last week.
Yeah, 10 days of...
I didn't realise it was that long.
Not feeling right, yeah. And which reminds me, don't let me forget to take my antibiotics tonight, all right? I'm back on track though, man, so...
That's good.
It's going to be great to be walking around tonight.
Yeah, look, I just remembered, because I'm a little bit out of sorts. I'm trying to hike and record a podcast. I just want to say a quick shout out to the sponsors of the podcast, being Rios Floating Sunglasses. Thanks to those guys. A little bit of news on them is they've just brought out a new range, and they've got a lot more colour options, which is pretty cool. Hey, check out that. There's a little robin or some kind of finch. Oh, look further down there. See that bird on the path?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How cool is that? I don't know what that is.
On the ground.
It's more like the size of a dove or something. Anyway, where was I? Isn't this interesting? Isn't this fresh? I want to say shout out to Topo Maps Plus. And also, here's something interesting, Craig. You know those National Geographic maps in the US? They're kind of like our HEMA maps here.
Yeah.
In a way. Well, they're actually... You can actually download them onto Topo Maps Plus now. Obviously only in the US, but still, that's pretty awesome.
All right.
If you're not familiar with the app, you can actually choose the maps that you want to access depending on what you want to see on the terrain. So now, if you download that pack, you'll actually be able to see the National Geographic maps, which I reckon is awesome. Caribou.com. I am actually trialling a new pack as we speak. It's smaller than what I'd normally use. It's only 70 litre, but since we're only doing an overnight, I figured I could probably cut down on a few things. Leave the carton of beer at home and stuff like that. And last but not least, Blue Merino. Yeah, again, wearing some Blue Merino right now because it's a bit chilly, thanks to those guys. And they've got a new kind of, they sent me a sample of this fabric. I've got it with me, I'll show you later, but it is the softest, most amazing fabric I've ever felt. And like, it's way softer than this shirt I'm wearing now. But they haven't yet told me what they're going to be doing with it. Anyway,
watch this space, eh?
Yeah, very much so.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, so thanks to all those guys for making it happen. Now, one other piece of what I would consider very exciting news to do with the podcast is we got accepted by Spotify. So we're now available on Spotify, wherever you are.
That's good.
We're currently obviously on Podbean, iTunes, and we do put them on YouTube. Just for those people that don't have access to any of those other mediums. But now with Spotify, I think that's going to open it up, just convenience-wise, open it up to a few people. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Now, Well, that's it for the housekeeping.
Ah, well, good. I've been
Back to where we were.
holding my tongue to try and ask you heaps of questions about your latest.
Oh yeah. Hey, should we
Greatest.
have a quick look at this lookout just for a second?
Yeah.
I'm just going to paint a bit of a picture for you guys while we're doing that. We have driven a bit of a distance down some four-wheel drive tracks, and we've left the cars. And that's kind of given us a head start because it's quite late in the evening. It's just gone, it's 5 minutes past 5. And we're just walking down to a lookout on the way to where we're going to basically jump off the trail. Wow, that is pretty cool. That's beautiful.
So nice.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been down here for a sunset. Usually I'm either already on my way back or I'm usually down here for sunrises.
Yeah, that's great. So it's probably an hour and a half before it's dark.
I think we've got, well, given that we're on the eastern side of this ridge, I'd say we're probably, yeah, we're going to lose light pretty quickly. Something scratching around down there in the bush. Yeah, anyway, sorry guys, we're just admiring the view. So the plan is we're going to follow this trail for probably another 2 minutes. And there's a spot where Craig and I jump off the trail and we'll navigate our way across a little stream, and then hopefully with still enough light we get to a spot where we can set up a quick camp and keep chatting to you guys. So yeah, sorry Craig, you were asking me about the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's been,
tell us everything. How long were you away for?
it was, I think it was around something like 10 or, no, it was more like 12. It was about 12 or 13 days. And I did 3,000 kilometres
Yeah.
in the car and went to outback Queensland, like quite very, very remote areas.
Yeah.
Can I just add another caveat? That I'm actually getting out of breath. And yeah, to anyone listening, apologies for any scratching around or anything like that, but we are actually physically hiking. And we're physically hiking near a spot where I completely fell over once, did I not, Craig?
Yep. Yeah,
Which is about 10 metres in front of us.
Yep, you went totally.
I went flat on my
Over, yeah.
face. My legs were hanging over the edge of this little kind of bank. It was,
Come back for more.
just walking past a waterfall at the moment.
So low, the water level.
Yeah, it is low. That's about the last I've seen that. Although that water looks cleaner than I expected it to. But look at all the vegetation growing down there. That
Yep.
would not be there if it was flowing.
No way.
Look at this. We usually have to rock skip across here.
Where are we going to camp? Up the top there.
We'll follow this ridge up. It's not too far. But sorry, where was I? Yeah, so it was an absolutely fantastic trip and got out on a few cool little hikes, and as most people would know that watch our that keep an eye on our Instagram and Facebook, I posted one of my astrophotography shots, and yeah, I think people seem to enjoy it, and it was definitely one of the best shots I've taken.
Oh, is that the one with
today.
your tent?
Yeah, the one with the tent and the
Yeah.
swag and the Milky Way behind.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah, I was sitting out there. It's freezing cold. But on one of the other nights, which is the night that I did the Instagram video, I actually went to bed, and then later on that night when I woke up around midnight, I actually went out and took some more photos.
Yeah, pretty different place out there, eh?
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you went right out past Winton and stuff?
Oh yeah, I went out past Winton. Oh, sorry, I'm just negotiating some branches. Yeah, went out to the middle of nowhere, and there was one particular place called Carnarvon Gorge where
Yeah.
I took that photo. It's also on Instagram. I took that photo of some Aboriginal art.
Cool.
And that's the first time I've ever actually seen that artwork firsthand rather than photographs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was really humbling. Whoa, we're going uphill now, guys. As you can tell by my complaining and panting. Yeah, so stand in front of that and just check it out, and the level of detail that was still in it after thousands and thousands of years. It was pretty amazing. Now, I think it's just up on this rise here, mate. See if we can find a spot. Once we get set up, we'll continue to have a chat with you. Okay guys, we're back. We've just made a few executive decisions. I think we both found a pretty decent spot to set up our tent and hammock. And right now I'm just negotiating my way down the front face of a little cliff to get to a ledge where we're going to sit and have dinner. Still got my pack on, which is not ideal, but I'm doing okay. Wow, that sunset, it's looking amazing.
This is a pretty good spot, man.
Okay. Yeah, you going to sit down there, mate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is that enough room for everything, or did you want to sit on that ledge below us?
Oh,
I think it's okay with me.
this will do us for now.
Yeah, I think so.
Until we drop something down there, then we'll have to go.
Or if we drop something down there, it's better than dropping it off the next ledge. Okay, you just got to stick under your butt. That's going to hurt.
It's very common.
It's going to leave a mark. All right, I'm going to get my pack off. That's my notebook, don't lose that or the whole show's blown. Do you have video recording on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we should do is just kind of give an idea of where we are.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening and they want to jump over to YouTube, I'll chuck this bit of footage in the podcast just to give you an idea of where we stand and what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
You can hear the little waterfall down there trickling. Awesome.
Awesome. It'd be great to have a
Let's
coffee.
get it. Yeah. Let's flick this thing around. So yeah, that's our view. The sun's actually setting behind the ridge. Craig, kind of flick this around. Aye. So behind us up there is where we're kind of planning to shack up for the night, and right now we're going to sit on this ledge here. Well, I don't know how much of this you're going to get in the shot, but we're going to just sit here and get ourselves some coffee. Okay. There you go, mate. All right, while I'm getting my pack off, I apologise for any scraping or any noises, but I'll continue what I was talking about earlier. Was the Aboriginal artwork was yeah, as I said, it was just amazing to just stand in front of it. And I did a bit more research on it. There's a few bits of information around the place, and it was actually that area was a meeting spot. So they'd, I mean, who knows how often, but over thousands of years they'd meet at that same spot, and then that'd almost be like a signature. They'd, and if you have seen that photo, the way they make that is they chew up, well, not really chew up, but they put red dirt in their mouths. It's called ochre. It's very high in iron, so it's got a rusty kind of colour. And they swill it around with some water, and then they put their hand, or quite often their hand, but in the case of that photograph, you'll also see a couple of tomahawks, some stone axes. They'll hold them up against the side of the cave, and then they'll spray out this liquid dirt out of their hand, and makes awesome paintings. And at the same time, it just lasts forever. It's just on sandstone, but it's under a little ledge, and so I guess it's protected from the elements. But like I said before, it was just real humbling to be in the presence of that artwork, and kind of think of those people that were there,
For sure.
going about their business. I'm sure that that's hard to sit down. I'm sure that that area meant as much to them as it does still to all of us now. This is actually a pretty comfortable spot, mate.
Yeah.
Once I get myself organised.
So is there heaps of other art and painting?
Look,
in
there
that
is,
area?
but for example, there was another spot where it was 10 kilometres, so it's a 6-mile hike to get to this artwork.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I hope we make it there one day,
Yeah.
because it's, from the photos I've seen, it's quite spectacular, and on a much bigger scale as well, through this big kind of cave. Whoa, I want to turn your gas off, mate.
It's because this has got old, right? You've got to have the thing turned on slightly to close it, but I can always forget.
That was Craig's butane stove, just spewing out gas.
Yeah.
Wow, it's great out here right now.
So was it like a tourist place for the? And was it in a cave, or was it just on the sort of like a
Oh, it was.
escarpment?
Yeah, it's called Balloon Cave.
Oh right.
Balloon Cave. I mean, cave's a bit of a stretch. It's not like you actually navigate your way into this hole. It's more like I'd call it more like an undercut, if you know what I mean. So, or an overhang.
Yeah.
So just like this overhang, and
Okay.
all the artwork was up, I guess, at about head high, up against the wall. It was just really cool. I was in a bit of a rush, and I took a couple of photos, and I'm really, really happy with the photo I took. I was kind of worried after I was driving away, thinking, wow, I've come all this way, I really should have spent more time checking that photograph was okay, but it was fine. Sometimes you have a bit of luck, right?
That's good.
All right, I'm going to get a jacket on first, and then I'm going to get a brew on. Now, just checking my notebook. So this episode, what we wanted to discuss in this episode was trail etiquette, and then as a natural progression of that, I guess leave no trace principles, just that whole idea behind looking after all of these places that we go to. I mean, it's a pretty good segue from that cave art, because it only takes one stupid person
To destroy it.
to destroy it, one idiot, and that's been there for 6,500 years, and one idiot ruins it in 15 minutes,
Yeah.
So it is, stuff like that is very delicate, and I'm not just talking about artifacts either. I'm talking about this waterfall that we're sitting right above, all this area. Like Craig and I have hiked through this valley below us, and it's all gorgeous. And I think that camera is going to take a dive.
How am I going to do this?
I think you need to get
Oh,
these
I know.
legs out forwards.
I know.
Just spin them the other way around. Craig's GoPro was just about to take a jump over the cliff.
I got it sorted.
Yeah, push that down.
I just wanted to
Pick up some amber.
have my hands free for a minute.
Yeah, cool. So anyway, yeah, Craig, what's your first thoughts on those sorts of ideas?
Well, it's a pretty important topic. I don't want us to sort of talk about it like we're preaching either.
No, I thought about it this week, and
Sort of
something I was conscious of was doing an entire podcast where, yeah, we were basically complaining or
whinging about others,
whinging about things we don't like.
and how good are we at?
Yeah,
'cause we
exactly
don't do
right.
all these things,
and
do we?
we're not perfect, but I think doing your best and being conscious of it is definitely the first step. But it was hard for me to kind of think of how we could construct a podcast that wasn't just don't do this, don't do that, don't do this.
Yeah.
I hate this, and also I'm a whingy person anyway. not whingy. That's not the right. I have my opinions, and when things grind my gears, man, I'm happy to tell you about it. So I didn't want this to be a whole podcast where Tom gets the shits at everything that everyone else does in the world, because it's not like that at all.
Yeah, but I think if we talk about anything like that, it has developed. It has developed for me, like changed a little bit from when we started. And
Oh yeah, I definitely approached many things differently to when we first came out.
well, it's not too bad. I'm kind of ready to talk about it a little bit now. You know, like I've had moments where it's come up. You know.
Yeah. It's just as we came, funnily enough, just as we came down, climbing down that cliff face, I thought, I just want to be real careful about negotiating without kind of scraping my feet down all of this lichen, because even though this lichen here behind us is, it's having a rough trot because it hasn't rained here for a while. As soon as that got rain, that will all come back. And if you go ahead and
Disturb it all.
scrape it all off with your feet,
Yeah.
it's ruined. And something I read during the week, which kind of mortified me a bit, was if you knock lichen and similar sort of mosses off a rock, they won't repair in your lifetime.
No way.
Yeah. So think about the magnitude of the effect that you're having on the environment when you think, well, it's okay if I scrape a bit of that moss off while I'm being too lazy to walk around. I'm just going to clamber over this rock, take a bit of moss off. It'll be fine. Nature will fix it. Well, yeah, nature will fix it. But as this article said, it's not going to happen in your lifetime.
Is that right?
The next people that walk down there for the next 50, 60 years are going to see this scuff mark. And I just think you don't want to be walking through the wilderness on eggshells, but areas that are quite pristine, you do want to sort of sit back and observe rather than be a part of ruining them. Now, what I was thinking of, the first kind of question that came to mind for me as I was putting together my notes was, why do people come hiking? Or why do people come out into the outdoors? And when I thought about that point and framed it that way to myself, that's when I kind of realised that you could ask 1,000 people and 1,000 people will have different answers.
Exactly why it's difficult to talk about.
Exactly, because my reason for coming out here, let's say for argument's sake, I came out here today and I brought out massive telephoto lens and I really wanted to just come out here and capture some bird life, take some photos, right?
Yep.
Then that's great, excellent,
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
But then to get cranky at the at some hikers walking past, having a just quiet conversation because their hiking poles are going click click click, and
Disturb the birds or
you've
something.
disturbed the bird
Yeah.
and scared everything away, and
No.
so then if you're getting upset about that, you know what I mean? It's just opening like a can of worms.
It's complicated because
It's
you got to
hugely
consider everyone, but
That's right.
at the same time, how you gonna? Everyone's got a different aim out, a different objective out here,
That's right.
so you don't really know how to be considerate all the time.
No, it is difficult. But like I said, that to me, that actual question made me realise how difficult it was. Like it's way more difficult than just saying, well, everyone, we're just going to have this blanket agreement that we all do X, Y, Z. That's probably a good guideline, but you and I like to go forward driving, off-roading, that sort of thing, and there's four-wheel drive tracks through here. And right now, what was that noise?
Cow.
Was it? Must have come way off that ridge over there.
I think so.
Yeah, you're probably right. So sorry, what I was saying was we're up so high right now on this cliff that we can see so far, and the sound travels that if there's a four-wheel drive to go down, you see straight ahead that dirt patch, Craig?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you recognise that?
Or is that the Rocky Hole?
No, Rocky Hole's
Oh,
down-
that's that little quarry section
It's
on
the
the way
quarry
down
where
to
the national parks collect boulders or gravel and go and repair roads and stuff like that.
Right.
But that just shows you how far we can see. And if a four-wheel drive was cruising through there now,
Yeah, they do shoot down there, don't they?
they do, and I guarantee you we'd hear it. And then we could sit here and say, geez, all we wanted to do was hike here, sit on this ledge, watch this sunset, and have some bloody peace and quiet, mate. What are you doing? But at the same time, they're totally, and that could be us sometimes.
Oh, it is. You got to
Yeah.
go down there
Oh,
somewhere.
you got to go down there to get to some of the other hikes that we do.
And it's not all just about.
Oh, you see those white cockatoos?
For sure, that was cool.
Yeah, they're hanging out down there. I wonder if the screeching will come up on the audio.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's really difficult. It's a tough. I have to say that I even contemplated avoiding this topic because I know it's going to be hugely controversial. But
I'm
if
sure
we're not
we-
here to have these conversations, then
I'm sure we've pissed people off in the past. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I probably
particularly
do
when
it
we
on a
started. And
daily basis.
yeah.
Oh, you mean hiking, not just in general? Sorry for all the rustling. I'm going to chuck on my jacket because
Hey, do you want to just chuck some
Starting to
water in
feel-
this and we can share a boil or what?
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Have you got some, mate?
Oh, you don't have water in that?
I'm
bottle?
actually only a touch.
Oh, I got heaps here.
So
That's all right.
I'll
I
just
got
see
heaps
it.
here. I
Yeah,
just gotta
cool.
get it out. Yeah. So I was contemplating maybe just not touching this topic, but as I said, if there's
Yeah.
if we're going to have to navigate tough topics sometimes, and as you say, no doubt we've pissed people off when we've been hiking. As you say, probably more so when we started.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm trying to think how, but
I remember that time we camped in a pretty awesome spot in Lamington, and it's not called Bethongable. It was the one the night before that when it really stormed. Remember, it came down real heavy,
oh yes,
and we were kind of camped close to that lookout.
Well, that was.
What was
it's
that
funny
called?
you should bring that up. That was Echo
Echo Point.
Yeah.
Righto.
It's funny you should bring that up because one of the principles, I will read these out. I think it's the first one. Geez, I'm going to need a head torch soon. Yeah, the first principle of 7 for Leave No Trace, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's an organisation that they kind of strive to educate people on basically how to leave the environment the way that you found it. So the next person comes along and doesn't really know that you've been there.
It's an organisation.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I thought it was just a concept or just a...
No, well, it is a concept. It's their principles, but
Oh,
it's
right.
an organisation that I guess, educate people. And
I haven't looked at it like that.
yeah, no. So it's lnt.org. There's also lnt.org.au, which is an Australian version with a lot of the same information, but it's worth checking out. But anyway, back to my point. The first principle is plan ahead and prepare. And I thought, as I was reading that, it doesn't really sound like a leave no trace principle to me. It's not about looking after the environment. But when I clicked on that link on the website and actually read the whole spiel, they're talking about exactly what you just said, and that is knowing where the hell you're meant to be camping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Getting that right. Because that was our first mistake. We'd never been there before, and when we
legitimately thought that was the campsite.
Thought that we were at the campsite because we thought it wasn't a very good campsite. It was very small and lots of rocks and stuff. And until the next day,
I guess so.
We hiked another sort of 50 metres and went, wow, this is the campsite.
So we did that wrong, but I kind of looked back at it as if we kind of had an idea we shouldn't be there, but we stayed there anyway. But that's not true. But
no, I 100% thought we were
did.
there. It wasn't until the next day I realised that we shouldn't have been there.
But it was more an issue when those people turned up.
That's exactly right. So they've turned up doing the right thing.
For their morning tea.
They've turned up having their morning tea break, and we were just almost finished packing up our gear. Thankfully, they didn't get there half an hour early or something, because it looked like it's some gypsy camp or something, and there was clothes hanging everywhere. But it was a stupid mistake. I'm happy to put my hand up and say that was just really dumb. But it comes down to that first principle. We did not know exactly where we needed to be. We didn't read that sign properly.
Yeah.
The sign said Echo Point. It didn't say Echo Point Campground. 50 metres down the trail it says Echo Point Campground.
Yeah.
So everything was 100% our fault. And thankfully we were hammocking, so we didn't do any damage to the ground. And we use very wide straps. Just if anyone knows anything about hammocks, usually they've got these thin bits of rope that can damage moss and bark on trees, but we use pretty wide straps, especially back then. So I think it could have been worse, but at the same time, as you say, those people turn up and there's these two goons there.
When they
looking like they just got out of bed. I didn't even have a t-shirt on, just there in a pair of pants going, oh, hi.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't in the middle of the view or anything, but
no, we weren't.
They had to walk past us and kind of...
Yeah, they had to walk past us to get to the spot where they wanted to sit in.
So,
well, we kind of explained it to them, like, oh, we got here late and the storm came and we didn't realise. But anyway, going back to my original point, so I think that principle of saying plan ahead, in that respect, is way more valid than I gave it credit for.
Yeah, no.
I think your example was absolutely bang on.
No, you're more likely to mess things up if you don't quite know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're going to turn up late.
Prepared.
You're going to set up camp in a not an ideal spot. You might not be able to see because it's dark, and you lay your tent on some kind of moss or whatever. It just without that planning, you're going to run into dramas.
What's next?
Well, a couple of other points under that was, geez, it's getting dark. prepare for weather, which we copped that the same night.
Yeah.
And keep your groups small so that they're not overcrowding
Okay.
campsites, which is going to lead to people taking up, I guess, moving off those durable surfaces where you're meant to camp.
Yeah.
I really need to give you that water. Or
Yeah,
else
let's get going.
I can feel that chill coming up from the valley too. You're going to have to pour it out of this bladder because...
Well, maybe you could.
Yeah, I can do it. I was just in a bit of a hurry and I
Is
thought...
that your platypus or is that something else?
Yeah, no, that's my platypus.
So cool.
Um,
It's like a relic now, but it's
yeah, it's still kicking along. I
Doing
love
so
the,
well.
the cover.
Oh yeah.
It not only does it keep it nice and cool in summer, but it stops it from getting stabbed by something in my bag. That'd be my ultimate fear, I reckon, is hiking for 6 hours to a place that we know doesn't have water, and then you get there and you've pierced the bladder and it's all leaked out the bottom.
That takes a hose, doesn't it? But you haven't.
Yeah,
plugged
it
one in.
does.
Yeah.
But the hose is threaded through
Oh.
the straps of my other pack, and I'm
Yeah,
just
cool.
running this new pack tonight, and I thought I just don't even need the hose.
All right. You want to try a pour at
I'll
that
try
spot?
and not pour it on my camera and your camera and my audio. That is just water going into a pot. I promise you, listeners.
That's good, man. Thank you.
It's heaps. I don't need any for cooking purposes, mate.
I've got a couple of litres in the bag.
What do you got for dinner?
Asian noodles,
Ooh,
I think.
very good.
International noodles.
International. That's more politically correct.
I think that's what you call them.
I have last night's spaghetti bolognese that I didn't eat.
Have you?
Yeah. I quickly ran to the fridge. It was half an hour before you got to my place. And I thought, oh no, I don't have any food prepared. And I looked in the fridge and there it was. A little package of spaghetti bolognese. I need to get my head torch out so I can read some notes.
Yeah, get on with it. Tell us
Yeah,
what
get
it's
on
got.
with it, yeah. People
Yeah,
don't-
it's going to get dark.
It is.
That's not.
No,
It's,
it's no
not silly to
exaggeration.
say. It's gonna
Put it
get
this
real
way,
dark.
if you were looking at that GoPro footage now, it'd be pretty much,
Yeah.
you wouldn't see anything.
I think it's shot. Won't be much footage now.
I know I am scratching this microphone and I apologise.
Yeah, I bought some leftover pancakes.
Leftover pancakes, so they're already in pancake form.
They're cooked.
Oh
fully cooked.
wow.
But I'm going to be able to munch
Exactly how many pancakes did you bring?
on them. I might have brought about 6 or 8.
Oh,
So
is that
feel
enough
free.
for a
Yeah.
friend?
Yeah.
This sounded pretty good. Okay, get myself organised. Oh, this is just magic here tonight.
Yeah, good.
Nice and warm on these rocks.
Yeah.
All right, back in the game. Craig's just boiling up some water there. I think I've got my coffee and stuff easily accessible. Okay, so the other thing I thought, Craig, was actually moving through these 7 principles. No doubt it's going to spark off either some experiences that we've had or other topics.
Yep.
The second one is travel and camp on durable surfaces. So stay on the trail, camp on the surfaces that are put there for camping.
Is
In
that
most-
their second principle?
That's their second
Oh,
principle.
okay, good. Yeah.
And if you frequent a lot of popular trails, you'll see that they actually, national parks usually do a pretty good job of clearing a little durable surface where they want to encourage you to camp, rather than kind of scraping away leaves and stuff. Yeah, taking shortcuts is a bit of a big no-no. Now, if you're familiar with what we do, a lot of the time we are quite deliberately going off trail. And a lot of the times the reason we're going off trail is because we want to get away from everyone else. But I think there's a certain art form in going off trail and not just hacking your way through some pristine rainforest with a machete, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Quite often where we go, there's usually game trails where you can kind of follow those, and that's doing much less damage than carving your own path.
Yeah. But where you can, stay on the trail. And
Well, absolutely. You know what I can't stand? Here's gripe number one. People that shortcut switchbacks.
I know, just through little, just to shortcut a trail. That's
Shortcut a
stupid.
trail by 15 metres? Absolutely. I just cannot comprehend if they think that's a life hack or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets on my
And I think that
nerves.
same principle, they just mean don't widen the trail too. So try and
Exactly, don't widen the trail.
yeah.
A really good example of that is I've hiked the overland track in Tasmania twice.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the key rules they have is, even if it's muddy and wet, you basically do not walk around the trail.
Okay.
So you walk straight through it, get your boots wet, walk through the mud, because if every single person got to that mud hole and went around it, not only are you going to carve out new paths, but then they would collapse into the mud hole and it would erode. And you can imagine what hundreds of people a month are going to do to a popular trail like that.
Yep. No, you got to keep from making it a metre wide when it should just be single file or whatever.
What was the other one? Point number 3. Oh, another big one, so to speak. Dispose of waste properly. By waste they mean rubbish and
all sorts of waste.
Ones and twos.
Turds.
Logs, cables. That's the only things that come to mind at the moment.
Yeah.
If you think of any more, drop them in. Pardon the pun.
I guess that was the most obvious one when I thought early on about this kind of issues. That it's just about rubbish, you just don't leave rubbish and don't litter and destroy the the poignant landmarks on the way and stuff. So
yeah, I'm not going to go into the full details, but quite simply, if you pack rubbish in, pack it out.
Yep.
If you carry it in, how lazy can you be not to carry it out? I just don't understand it. And digging holes and shoving rubbish down there is not the solution. Digging holes and dropping a turd down there, now that is a solution. In fact, it's a recommended solution.
recommended solution.
In most situations, they suggest 6 to 8 inch deep hole and at least 200 feet from the water. And I'll tell you something real interesting. If it's not obvious, the reason you want to keep it away from the water is so that it doesn't leach, or the rain comes, it doesn't leach into that water supply, and then you've got all sorts of crazy stuff going downstream. The reason that you want to get the depth of the hole around that is, now I think, is that around 30 centimetres? No, it's not. 15 inches would be, so it's a bit shy of 30 centimetres, a bit shy of a foot, I guess.
That's really deep.
Yeah, well, 12 inches is a foot, right? Sorry if we sound completely stupid. we've got a metric system here in Australia. So
Very clever. Red
yeah,
Rose.
okay, so very clever metric system, which means we don't have to calculate inches. All right, that's just defending myself before I get emails saying how stupid we are.
Idiots.
So my point is, it's not a foot deep. It's somewhere around 2/3 of a foot deep.
Okay.
Now, the reason it is that depth is because it is the optimum depth for bacteria to operate, go to work on that turd burger
Mm.
and pull it apart, pull the nutrients out and distribute it
Yeah.
underground, right? If it's too deep, I believe it doesn't have the warmth or the sun and everything, so it doesn't compose as quickly.
Wow.
If it's too shallow, you're leaving yourself open for animals to detect it and dig it up, and or rain or something like that coming along and exposing it again. So it's it's interesting
Mm.
to kind of know more about that. And now something they did say was, even a year later, if you dig up some kind of excrement, there can still be really dangerous pathogens in it, but the alternative is much worse. So it is better to get them way underground. I mean, if it has to happen, I'm one for kind of, a bat just flew past us again. That's 2 podcasts we've done out in the wilderness,
Friendly
and
bats.
had friendly bats,
Mm.
little micro bats flying above our heads. Awesome. Okay, let's move along. So,
where's the
poop.
coffee? Where's the
Oh.
coffee?
Oh,
Speaking
what,
of
am I
poop.
supplying the coffee as well?
Well, it's gone and it's dark and I can't
Don't
find
you
it.
have a torch?
No.
Why didn't you bring a torch?
Because it was not dark.
No, but did you bring a torch on this trip?
Yeah, but it's up at the pack. Oh, here we go.
That's not coffee. What did you do?
Well,
I-
you didn't give me yours yet.
No,
and
I didn't give you mine.
I had
I'm going to
one
make my own.
that
What
I
did you
brought
do with
with
yours?
me, and I don't know what I did with it.
I'm feeling a heck of a lot of blame coming, a lot of heat coming my way, and it's not from that stove.
I just know that the water's going to go
You have a
cold.
very accusatory tone.
I
What
don't
did
have
you do with
answers.
the coffee, Tom?
I don't have answers. I don't want to have to stand up
Did
and
not fall off that cliff.
No,
Why don't you stand up?
just can't see it though.
What are we looking for? What was
It's a
it?
little sachet. The
The, not the kind of standard ones we use.
long skinny ones.
I haven't touched.
Could be in my pocket, see, but I've.
Oh
been
boy, you're
sitting
going to look
there.
real guilty, man, when you find that in your pocket, and I had nothing to do with
You had nothing to do
the
with it.
loss of it.
Oh, I'm sure. Did I just touch the mic? Probably.
I don't know, but
Anyway, if you can't see it with your torch,
well, no, it's not.
then there
Well,
ain't
do you
one.
want to take my torch and have a look over there?
Mm.
Did you chuck it down over that side? Did you chuck it off the cliff?
Leave no trace.
Leave no trace. You better get down and get that. Oh,
Hang
this
on, I've
is,
got a torch now.
Not only is it controversial argument, but mate, yeah, you can't just leave that.
It
You
must
can't
be.
just leave that shit.
Must be on my person somewhere. I must have left it up there. I'm gonna have to borrow a coffee off you, Tom.
I don't have those coffees tonight.
Oh, something different.
I got coffee bags.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I just seriously brought one, but
I don't know, man. I didn't see it. At no point did I see a coffee sachet.
it's gonna be all right. It's all gonna be okay.
Well, happy to proceed with the podcast
Okay.
as soon as I get an apology.
I'm very sorry, Tom.
Okay.
I know it's not on your side of the ledge. It's probably
Do you
in here.
think you reckon it's in there, or did it come out of your pocket on the way down?
Nah, probably just in.
Did you take that bucket? Did you take that bottle out of there?
Oh, it might be inside there, is it? I don't think I took it out of there. No, I wouldn't have.
Or
Anyway.
I've got a coffee bag, or I've got instant, and I've got real milk.
All right, whatever you got, we'll throw it in my cup here, please.
Okay.
I bet it's sitting on top of my bag there. Up top.
Yeah, it probably is. I bought exactly 2 coffees, and now
This is going to be the last time you go hiking with me, isn't it?
oh, that smells so good.
Yeah, Tim's is pretty good.
Oh, I just ripped a tiny hole in the top of that, I think. Oh no, it's okay. There you go. Now, adhering to the Leave No Trace principles, I've folded up that little
Tiny
coffee
piece of
bag
paper.
and I've put it back in a Ziploc bag that I bought it in with.
All right, that's going to be good for me.
Okay, is it hot? I mean, is it boiled?
It boiled before. Do you want me
Yeah.
to boil it again?
Um,
You touched it.
oh,
Hot.
did I just? Oh yeah, that's hot enough. Okay, let me just chuck a tea bag, a coffee bag in here too. Wow, this has quickly turned into a day in the life of podcast.
Pretty much.
Do you take sugar when you have those
No,
dodgy
no,
ones?
no, thanks.
It's the only time I indulge in the white poison is when I'm... oh, that and cake, of course, that's different. Okay, I'll get this in here and then you can put it back over the other side, next to that coffee sachet that you lost.
I'll find it straight away.
Here you go.
Oh, good.
Do you want some milk?
What sort of milk? What are you doing with milk? You
Putting
brought a
it in
little.
the coffee. Oh, you mean
Oh,
what
you
type
got
of
little,
milk?
little cups of milk everywhere?
Yeah, you know when we stopped at those, do you want one of them?
Yeah, I'll have a splash is all I want, but
Well,
you
that
probably.
pretty much is only a splash. It's up to you. If you only use a tiny bit, I'll use the rest. Don't worry about that.
Okay, well, I'll just use a little tiny bit and you can have
Yep.
the rest because I just like a colour.
Yeah, no worries. Shall I continue?
Go on.
Oh, very good. Principle number 4. Leave what you find. Yeah, we've kind of touched on this a bit. Fairly simple. Don't bring your hatchet and start making furniture and stuff like that. Don't knock down trees and everything just to make your campsite. Yeah, fairly simple. I'm happy to move on from that.
Yeah.
Number 5, minimize campfire impacts. This one here is interesting because it loops back up to the first principle, which is plan ahead, right? Because if you didn't plan ahead properly and check out the National Parks website and the late current warnings and stuff like that, and you say, I'm going to hike into this spot, take all my food, light a campfire and cook, and then you find out that there's a fire ban on and you can't do that, you got one of two things are going to happen. You're going to either have a pretty shit night with cold food, or you're going to break those rules and potentially put the entire landscape in jeopardy because you were too stupid to listen to the warnings, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just getting out my teaspoon and spork. So yeah, that one kind of... But the other thing is, remember that time we got to... This was a Lamington hike as well. And as we walked into this campsite, it was an absolutely beautiful campsite. And there was that rock ledge. And I thought, oh wow, this is awesome. And I went to put my backpack down on the ledge, which would have just sat there nicely and given me access to it. And someone had had a fire there, and all the rock, not only was all the moss and everything burnt off it, but it was just covered in black soot, and there was still coals there, like they hadn't even tried to disperse the coals or anything. So I literally couldn't put my bag there because I would have had, it would have just got filthy. We couldn't sit there, which was a perfect little rock ledge for sitting and eating at dinner. We couldn't sit there. And not only that, but it's 100% non-negotiable. You're not allowed to have fires in that national park. So, yeah, it was disappointing me. I remember being quite peeved off at that.
Yeah, you always see sights from fires, and they're always in a nice little spot under a ledge
They
or
are,
something.
and
and
that's exactly right. They're in the perfect
it's where
spot.
you want to go and sit down.
Yep. Remember that other Northbrook Gorge?
That's what I mean. I think.
Oh, you're
yeah,
thinking about that? Yeah,
Yeah,
and some people have gone to the most idyllic little spot.
they probably stayed the night and had a little fire.
Yeah, and then had a fire and just walk away and leave the fire, and it's burnt all the sandstone.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you got to do that, just make sure you just clean up the fire afterwards. And I guess you shouldn't even be having one there, eh?
well, there, no, you shouldn't be. Like, it'd be like us having one here tonight. Like, we just shouldn't be having one here. But Craig's right. If you're going to go ahead and do it, or even if you do it on, private property or whatever, spend the time to kind of put everything back how you found it. Unless it's a dedicated fire pit, which sometimes the national parks here in Australia will put some rocks in a ring and kind of encourage you to use that rather than just making your own fires everywhere. Ooh, number 6. Respect wildlife. That's pretty easy. Not one I need to go into detail. Never feed them. Absolutely don't feed them. First of all, the diet that we choose to have does not suit animals, and second of all, especially if you want to think about other places around the world, you start getting animals used to humans and thinking that they're a good food source, and all sorts of things start to go wrong there.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a no-brainer. Well, I say that it's a no-brainer to me. It's not a no-brainer to every single person who's new to the outdoors.
No.
The other one is, at the sub-point of that was to observe wildlife from afar and kind of not put any pressure on it. So if you see some animals, you sort of hang back, photograph, do whatever you want, but not just kind of charge in, like 2-year-olds do when they see a bloody a seagull or something at the beach. They just charge them.
Unless you're carrying a bow.
Yeah, a what? A bow?
Yeah.
Or
You're trying to.
or if you're
You're trying to catch him.
yeah, or if you're what's his name? Steve Irwin.
Oh right. No, I think. Yeah. Give him some
That's
space.
a pretty simple one. That
Yeah,
one.
it is.
Now people are going to say, well, that's funny, Tom, you are such a hypocrite because in this exact national park, on the same day, you gave a python a pat on the tail and scared it. And they'd be 100% correct.
You're
So,
putting yourself into that Irwin category there. Playing with it when you should have left it
yeah,
alone.
I should have just left alone and observed it. Now, on this next ledge up, 20 metres from us, where I saw that huge snake, I stayed well back from him because I thought he had the capabilities of killing me.
Jesus.
But yeah, the other one, I just gave it a little pat on the tail and it didn't particularly appreciate it. And if you want to absolutely stick to this principle, then that's out of line. Yeah, look, there's a time and place for interacting with nature, and I think you need to use some common sense. Number 7, the 7th and final principle. Be considerate of other visitors. This is difficult because, as we discussed, and you brought up a very valid point, it depends what you are in this environment for, as to what you consider being considerate, or the consideration you would like given to you
Yeah.
is different for every single person.
Yeah.
So it's probably the most difficult one to define.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the sub-points were quite simply respect others, avoid being too loud and noisy, and camp away from trails. Now they're referring to places where there's not designated campsites. Like when we camped, when we hiked in Girraween,
Mm.
we were given permission by the National Park to camp off trail, not at defined campsites. But the information that I was given over the phone was, please don't camp within, I think she said 50 or 100 metres of any trail or any monument, anything like that, because much like that other situation we found ourselves in,
Yeah, people want to walk through.
people doing the right thing, hike along, and there's two idiots getting out of bed, giving themselves a scratch and wiping sleep from their eyes,
Be considerate of others or respectful. Avoid noises and camp away. But I'm just surprised, like, if that's that point, I thought they'd be saying, always sort of acknowledge as well. You should always say g'day, don't you reckon?
Oh, I don't know, man.
When you walk past someone, or if you're in a remote area and someone hasn't seen anyone for a little while, it's nice to just acknowledge. You don't have to.
But is that I think you're moving out of a leave no trace principle and into a ethics, which is fine, because I don't mind having an ethical conversation with you. But I think that conversation falls outside of leave no trace principles, if that makes sense. So yes, I think it's great to be courteous and friendly.
Right.
But I don't think that is part of that principle. I don't think that it should be a rule that if a ranger sees you not smile or wave to someone, you get kicked out of the park.
Oh, I see. It's not an offence.
Yeah, and I mean, none of these things are offences, but they're just kind of common sense things. But it's funny you bring that up, because I wrote a whole bunch of notes, and prior to going through those leave no trace principles, excuse me, and some of the things that I covered in my notes actually popped up in those principles. You got a list of stuff there, and I'm not going to double up on anything I've mentioned, but shoot one of yours at me that it might not be a leave no trace principle, it might just be something that you think is trail etiquette.
Well, just little thing. Well, there's one here that's controversial, no smoking. I think that's interesting. I see both sides to that. I used to smoke, and I think what better place to have, there's no walls here.
Interesting.
It's interesting discussion, but I think there are some areas on the trail where it's sort of an area where people sort of congregate.
Well, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
In Australia, you're not allowed to smoke within 10 metres of any campsite.
All right.
You're not allowed to smoke within 10 metres.
Even if you're the only person there.
100%.
Really?
100%. You will get fined on the spot.
Well, obviously, it'd have to be someone come to find you, but I guess
That's right. But if a ranger walked in and you're sitting in the middle of the campsite,
you're in trouble.
Sucking on a cancer stick, you're in trouble. You're not allowed to smoke within 10 metres of any, like picnic benches, the barbecue areas.
Yeah, see, immediately I go, well, if you're indoors, fair enough, you're sharing in the air, but out here...
It's
that's
good.
Interesting.
So here's the other one. 10 metres of any kind of attraction. So that lookout we were at.
Fair enough.
That lookout, as you say, people congregate there.
Yeah.
You bring your kids there to the lookout.
Okay.
You bring your kids to the waterfall lookout. You cannot stand there having a smoke.
Yeah.
But you can, I think, gee, I hope I don't get this wrong. I think you'll be okay to sit where we are now and have a cigarette. But you would have to consider the fire aspect.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So
Take your
whilst
rubbish with
it
you.
might be legal and not against park rules, if you go flicking your cigarette butt off this cliff,
That's an offence for sure.
well, first of all, it's littering. Second of all, if it hits down there and sparks up something, you're in big trouble. What are you, GoPro just shut off? Craig, how about I see if I've got one here that we haven't. Oh, here's one. This is an interesting one. Toothpaste. I'm all for cleaning your teeth. In fact, I appreciate it when fellow hikers that I'm with clean their teeth for several reasons.
Right.
But the amount of time that it takes to break down that toothpaste if you just spit it over some rocks or some leaves or something is phenomenal. I've walked into campsites and there's no trace of anyone being there for a long time, but it's clear as day.
Oh, right.
The splatter from toothpaste on the leaves is just there, and it's it's a lot disgusting.
It must disappear with a bit of good rain.
Yeah, but I don't know how long it takes, but I've seen it in places where I think, geez, how long has that been there? Now, the other thing is, going back to the principle, it doesn't matter if it goes in the first good rain. The fact of the matter is, if you're spitting your toothpaste all over the ground, and then someone comes there an hour later, that's what the principles are for. It's about the next person turning up and not going, oh, well, that's not such a big deal because it'll go away when it rains. But it just shouldn't be there at all.
Yeah.
What I've started getting in the habit of, and you shouldn't just spit it into the streams as well, obviously there's a whole different kind of conversation there, but I get the heel of my boot and kind of smash out a bit of a hole.
Yeah.
And then I bend over a bit and spit my toothpaste right into that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm done, I'll have my water bowl there because I'll be rinsing my mouth, and I'll spit that onto there as well and pour a bit of water, and then I'll gently kind of kick the dirt back in, and then spread the leaf and kind of mulch, whatever it is, back over the top.
Yeah, fair
You'd
enough.
never know it was there, and it's going to kind of distribute as it should through the ground.
Okay, I got another one for you. I
Shoot.
listened back to a recent podcast and we touched on it, and I must clarify because I listened to it and I thought I'd said that, it looks like your handiwork.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because as if I'd seen you do that before.
No, did you?
The reason I said that, and I must say, the reason I said about these cans...
Tell people what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the cans, the piles of rocks that you see people
cans,
have...
spelt, correct me if I'm wrong, it's spelt like the city. Look, there's a headlights going down there, you see that?
Yeah, from Forby, yeah.
Four-wheel drive. Just so you know too, guys, the last night was the blood moon.
Yeah.
And tonight is the full moon, and it is very close
Just coming
to
out.
coming up. It's come up, but there's
We can't
one
see it.
ridge in between us and the moon, and when
Starting
it
to
pops
light up.
over that, it's going to be so bright.
It's going to be daytime.
It's going to be daytime.
That's why I didn't bring my torch, see? I knew.
Well, you can't do anything for the next hour because it's pitch black. But when that does come up, I'm seriously considering taking some photographs tonight of this valley and seeing how much I can
If we can get that
pick up with
moon
a long exposure.
in the shot, it'll be pretty tasty, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, back to Cairns, Kairns.
That's not how you spell Cairns, the town.
Why do you spell Cairns the town?
North Queensland.
Yeah.
Cairns.
Isn't that just what I said?
You said K.
Oh, far out. I meant C. I'm watching this four-wheel drive, doing 10 things at once.
So yeah, the
It's not a K, it's a bloody C.
see,
It's a C, so it's spelled the
Cairns.
same as a town, right?
stacked up, and I thought
A stack of rocks.
that I'd make a joke because I didn't see them there last time I went through, and you'd been there recently, so there we go. You must have done it, but I know you don't do that, and it's a bit off-putting to see them. I don't.
That's the other thing that confused me, and I think I've just solved it. In that conversation, I was confused about two things. One, that you thought I'd done that, I was a little bit.
No. I didn't think
but-
you'd done it.
But 2, that you thought I'd been there. And then in our conversation earlier this week, I said to you, the secret spot, I was talking about down here in this valley.
Mm.
I didn't go, but I haven't been back there since I've only been there once.
You went there with the girls.
No, I didn't. I went to Northbrook Gorge.
That's where I went.
Oh, wow.
So
I
the
thought
next
you
day,
I
pretty
thought
much.
you meant the spot down Coomera Gorge.
No.
Oh,
So you
man, 'cause
remember-
that's where I saw some cans as well.
Did you? That's where you talked about cans before.
Yes, that's right.
But no, I remember
Now I get it.
you'd talked about the girls and you running down that gorge.
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
I
yes.
went there pretty much a couple of days later.
Yes, you did. Okay.
And
now
then I
I've
saw
got it.
these, like there was 3 of them just right in the middle of the creek.
Yep.
And I'd never seen them before, and I just made a joke. It must have been you,
Yeah.
right? And one
Yeah.
of them had a big stick coming out of it, like
Yeah, you did.
like it was a
mention
big
that.
totem or something. Some idiot's done it. And I really get offended by the look of that because I like to take photos, and I'd almost have to go and pull some of them down before
Oh.
I took a photo.
You-
Oh well,
you see,
you know, I don't know what to say, but
no. I'm sure that that's popped up. You see, I don't know. I'm going to offend. It doesn't matter which way I say this. I'm going to offend people, right? People that hike in for the day and want to do some yoga and get some selfies by the waterfall and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of like a fun thing to do or whatever. Maybe I don't understand it. Stack a few rocks. It kind of looks cool. My kids love stacking rocks. It's fun or whatever. But it is in my opinion, my humble opinion, and people will say again, I'm grumpy. It's a form of graffiti. It is showing that a human has walked there before you. And as you say, for photography reasons, which is why you chose to go in the wilderness that day, it doesn't suit you. It's not being considerate. But not only that it's not a natural formation. They really piss me off.
oh, do you reckon it might be kids? Like
No, I'm not saying it's kids.
Kids under-
No, I've seen adults do
kids
it.
under,
No, I'm not saying it's kids at all. Like, sure, kids do it.
yeah,
but
because I'm imagining, you know,
no,
idiot
adults
doing
do it. I've seen them do it.
And then I don't know why they do it.
I'll tell you
except
the only reason I think cans are okay. When I was hiking down from Coomera Gorge, long story short, it's not a trail. You actually hike up this river for 8 hours or something. On the way back down,
yeah.
I was hiking along with a mate, and we were just in the zone, plowing along,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to these rock pools, and I thought, wow, isn't this pretty? And we kept walking, and then all of a sudden I just stopped and I said, hang on a second, buddy. You see that can over there? That is the one we saw yesterday when we got off the trail.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, we got our orientation back, and sure enough, that was where one of the only points you had to jump out of the creek onto the trail to get back to the car. Had we have missed that and hiked for another couple of hours, man, we could have been in a world of pain.
Mm.
And there was no signage. I don't expect there to be signage, but I'm just making the point.
Mm.
It's not a defined trail.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that saved our asses, and I'm grateful for that, but I see no other. There's also, when you hike up that gorge, you get to this almost impenetrable, there's kind of rocks, what would you say, cliffs on both sides and a waterfall in front of you, and you think, wow, we're going to have to swim through that and take our packs off. And I remember to the right of that, there was this little stack of cans, and I thought, oh, I wonder what they're there for. And
Yeah.
when we walked over to have a look at them, there was this trail that went behind this big boulder, and you could actually just walk around this
Okay.
waterfall without getting into any danger whatsoever. So as landmarks, they're kind of valid, and
Yeah,
they
right.
have assisted me, but people just stacking them up because they think that looks cool, I don't know. Geez, we've spent a lot of time on this topic of cans. And I'm really I don't like them so much, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm finding it hard to move on.
Oh, no. Oh, that's all right.
I don't know. I'll tell you this is a funny story. It's another grumpy story, but it's a funny story. When we were at a place called Cania Gorge, on that outback trip, walked through this nice little bit of rainforest and walked up to this place called Dragon's Cave. It was epic. Awesome cave. And I took some photos there. I'll probably, by the time this podcast's out, I'll have probably posted them on Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes. Anyway, yeah, cool cave, right?
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All the wall looks like it's been, it looks like it's just been melted. You know, it looks cool. Anyway, on the way back from that, we're hiking back, and I walk past this little stream. The path goes across the stream, and there were 3 towers, so 3 cans there. And my boys were walking ahead of me, and I stopped and paused. Took a couple of steps back, and I picked up this rock and I just threw it and smashed him down. And I missed one of them, so I picked up another rock. And one of my boys said to me, "Oh, Daddy, why are you knocking over those towers? What are you smashing those towers down for?" And I said, "Look, it's a little bit hard to explain, but when you come into the wilderness, you want to see it as natural as it can be, right?" And they kind of agreed with me. Yeah, I understand that. I said, "Well, making towers and moving things around is not how this place exists naturally. So the reason I'm knocking them down is not because I've got anything against the people who did them, but the next people that walk down that trail look down that riverbed, and it's just beautiful rocks and pebbles and rainforest."
Yeah.
Okay? So, yeah, anyway, it was funny.
Yeah, cool.
Inside, I was laughing my head off. And I actually thought of your comment. While I was doing it, I thought of your comment on the previous podcast that I had done.
Yeah, it's all you. You do them all, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do them all.
Oh, yeah.
That's my thing. I've
Jeez,
got another Instagram account where I just
Post
I
cans
go
that you've
into
made.
riverbeds at highly frequented places. I stack up rocks and then I do yoga poses and take photos.
Creative monster, man. Hey, I got one more.
Okay,
That is
shoot.
respect private property signs and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I just think immediately to my uncle's place and my nana's farm and stuff, and how they've always got people coming to fish on there and stuff.
Yep.
And I just think it's valid to say that if it's not your land, don't go there without permission. There's lots
100%.
there's lots of things that could happen to you on the land, and then the owners are liable, and it's just a mess.
It's 100% respect and ethics, and that is not in every person. Everyone has a different interpretation of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
What does it matter? It doesn't matter. You know, who cares? They'll never know.
Yeah,
It's
you
not the point.
don't own
It's
the
not
river,
the
man.
point.
But you know,
That's exactly right. So a friend of mine owns 6,000 acres.
yeah,
You can never police it. You can never patrol it. But he's worked hard, and he owns that. It's this wilderness. It's like what we're looking at here, and it's fantastic. It's mind blowing. And I feel, when I went there with him the first time, I thought, you know, if I owned that, and I knew that people were coming up the creek to fish or whatever, and even if it was right on the outskirts of my property,
yeah.
I've worked hard for this. Please do not come on my property. I have the property how I want it to exist, and I go find somewhere else. Or come and get permission.
Yeah.
Or go into the multitude of national parks that we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, property in general is a big one. I think there's that unwritten law of not touching other people's gear. If you drop your packs and you want to do a side trail, keep your hands to yourself, man. Do not touch, the only time I would touch someone else's pack
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
is if, say for example, their pack's sitting there and there was a bird or something trying to get into it, or an animal, or if it was, say it started to rain, and I thought, well, I could probably just have a quick look and see if they've got a pack cover. I can pull it over, or I can stack them under that tree. That's the only time I could justify touching somebody's stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Leave it alone.
leave it alone. If someone's set up a tent and then they've gone out for a day hike,
I,
forget about it. Stay away from it. It's none of your business.
I still can't believe that people do touch other people's stuff. Like, I can't believe that I've got to worry about my Jeep up there, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess I've never had such bad experiences as some, and
I've never witnessed, or I've never been part of
yeah.
of anything like that. But I just guarantee that. And it's not the hardcore hikers out there doing it. It's not the hardcore people that do it, because we've all got this, hopefully got this same understanding, the same level of ethics. We're all here for the same reason.
Yeah.
It's the people who are doing it as a one-off or something like that, or someone else is taking them. And
But I've heard that we get targeted as people that go for a hike. You leave your valuables in your car, and people just
yes, true.
I mean, that's
Yeah, exactly. They see
shocking.
cars at a trailhead. Well, then the logical step is, well, they're obviously going to be gone for hours.
Yeah.
But that's not outdoors people doing that.
No, and they're probably not
Okay.
going to be listening to this podcast.
They're not
People
going to
do
listen to
that.
this podcast. It's absolutely pointless.
But
giving
gee
them
whiz.
any time whatsoever.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to blast through a couple of mine.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, here we go. We talked about this on our first or second podcast, and it was music. Noise in general, but music.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it comes down to why you're out here.
Yeah.
I come out here, right now, I can hear little critters in the bush. I can hear that trickling waterfall. And apart from that, I can't hear anything. And that's the way I like it. If we were at a campsite and people were swearing and carrying on and shouting and generally goofing off, like I don't know, it sounds weird. I don't want people not to have a good time, but I don't know, you just got to rein it in, right?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I have hiked at places where other people have been extremely courteous and extremely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Have a conversation with them, say hi or whatever.
Yeah.
Respect each other's, don't put your tent right next to them if you can avoid it. And then I've hiked in other places where, like my dad and I hiked down to, was it Upper Portals? And set up our campsite there sort of around midday, and then spend a lot of time down around the river and having a swim and everything. And when we came back in the afternoon, this group of 6 people turned up, and they kind of just took over the rest of the campsite. They were drinking. I don't have a problem with drinking. I've got a problem if you're going to get on it and then start being loud and swearing and everything, and you want to stay up until midnight.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the kind of camping you want to do, I don't think that's the way to do it. They lit a fire. It was a 100% no fire zone.
Oh.
They lit a massive fire. Here's the other thing with fires that we didn't get to before, is they're dragging timber out of the forest, out of the rainforest, out of the bushland, and burning that. Not only does that have creatures in it, but it's stuff that could decompose and go back into the environment.
Yeah.
It's just so many things. Craig, I think what I might do now, mate, is, because we just seem to be going down a dark, dark rabbit hole, I think I'm going to do shout outs. We haven't done shout outs. We didn't do them last episode, so we were kind of busy. And we I just it's kind of hard for me to put into words how much I appreciate it when people stop by and drop a comment on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, because it takes a bit of effort, right, to sit there and click and acknowledge something. I think people are just in that mode of consuming content and maybe not having that level of appreciation. But there's a guy called Jeff Patnode. Currently. Anyway, thanks, Jeff. Jeff jumped onto an Instagram picture and he said, just caught up on the podcast on Spotify. Can't wait for the next one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And thanks for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, it just lets us know that it's...
It does. Well, first of all, that was shortly after we got accepted by Spotify. So straight away I thought, well, fantastic. Somebody's able to access this podcast. So it kind of lets us know what's working. Taking the time out to flick us that note. We do really appreciate it. So thanks, Jeff, mate. Awesome job. Thanks for checking us out. Now, Kate Miles, she is a Sydney landscape photographer, and she just recently started following us, I believe. She's got some great pictures. So yeah, thanks, Kate, for coming and checking out our stuff. The other one is Candace James. She also dropped a comment in the last week or so. And Candace has been following us for a long time, like way back from the start. And when we had even less of an idea of what we were doing than now. And yeah, thanks, Candace. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate you just dropping by to say g'day. That's awesome. All right, mate.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered a lot of the stuff. I'm just looking through my notes here, and a lot of them we've covered or you've covered.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about it. Did you have any more in your list?
No, I don't think so, man. I think we got close to all of it.
Yeah, I think we pretty much. I'll tell you, just one other thing I had written in my notes was hiking poles and people's opinions. There's a real kind of when you actually look through comments on YouTube videos and stuff like that, or read articles, there's a real love-hate relationship with hiking poles. It's quite funny to read about it. I personally never considered hiking poles until you brought one along on a hike one time, and you asked me if I wanted to try them for a while, and I did. And for me, the physical benefits, the stability, the ability to kind of drive yourself up a hill and everything. I'm converted. I've got poles with me today. But some people complain about the dents that puts in the trail. What? They do. Now, in their defense, when I was in Tasmania, in some of the, like especially some of those mud holes, you'd go through those mud holes, and on the sides, above the waterline, there are all these spike marks where people are trying to get their balance whilst they're walking through it. What they should have done is just put the poles straight into the water, because they are going to erode the edges of that far quicker. On a durable surface, I don't think that comment is legitimate.
Yeah.
People complain about the noise, like the click, click, click. I don't know. Come on, like I'm just. I mean, that sounds like a comment I'd make, and it wasn't me.
I think they look ridiculous.
It depends how. Like, it depends if you walk. Have you seen those Nordic walker people?
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
If you're a Nordic pole walking person and you're listening, thanks for listening. I'm not having a go at you, but there's some funny.
Yeah.
There's a funny YouTube video of that Prancercise. Have you seen that?
Oh no,
Oh, yeah, it's
happy
funny,
to say.
funny. It reminds me of that. But anyway, yeah, maybe they do.
But every now and then you'll drive around the city and you'll see someone using them
Yeah,
around
you
the
see
streets.
someone walking around the streets.
And
That stuff.
Then I go, I'm never using those poles again.
I'm never using them to go to the shops again. No, look, I don't have any. I don't mind. I think that's a bit of an invalid point. I'm not
Yeah.
going to give that any more fuel. What I want to say in closing, I guess, wraps us back full circle to the original kind of question that I proposed, which was why are you out here in the wilderness? Why do you go into the wilderness? And that answer could be different for the same person on 7 different days that you ask them, because they're going there for a different reason, or they have a different expectation of the experience that they want to get out of that that time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a couple of things to remember there, and that first and foremost is that whilst national parks are dedicated areas for the public to share, we don't own them. Like we can't take ownership in that way and say, I pay my taxes, the national parks belong to me, therefore I can decimate them. I don't think that's acceptable. That's not the type of ownership we've got. The type of ownership we've got is access. We've got access to the wilderness, access to beautiful places to share. And I think that's a key point there, is that the leave no trace principles are there to enhance the experience of somebody hiking to this exact spot we are today, or hiking to this exact spot we are in 6 months. They don't want to see a lost, discarded coffee sachet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to see any rubbish here. They don't want to see all the lichen scratched off the rocks.
And I'm sure it goes further into the future too, mate.
Oh, exactly, much further. I think that it takes a certain effort. It takes extra effort to leave, to kind of navigate your way through the wilderness and leave it how you found it. The quick example of that is people that shortcut switchbacks. Yes, it takes extra effort for you to walk around and use the trail properly, but long term, I've seen so many trails where the national parks then had to come in and put logs all across the shortcut because it was starting to get eroded, and then nobody was taking the proper path. Just like when we climb down this cliff tonight, it takes effort not to just be lazy and not take the other things into consideration. Now, it's one thing I said at the start of the podcast is I don't want people to go into the wilderness, feel like they're walking on eggshells. But at the same time, if you add 10%, what's the word for it? If you give 10% of your attention to this, I think it's going to make a big difference to everybody's future enjoyment of areas.
Absolutely, mate. That's awesome.
I'm just watching that moon rise, and it's spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got it lucky right now.
Yeah, we got it lucky.
That beautiful moon's just coming up over the edge, lighting up the whole ridge we're sitting on.
Yeah, because of one tree, we've probably got another hour before it's directly shining on us, and we'll actually be able to work on our tan.
Yeah. Good.
All right, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. Again, Craig said this at the start, and so did I. I hope this hasn't come across as a big negative podcast. or episode. It's just more about, I think, sharing with you some of our deeper kind of philosophies around why we're here and what we're trying to achieve, and ultimately how we want to leave the place. So thanks for listening. As always, we're going to sit back for the rest of the evening, get the cameras out, take some shots. I don't know if I should have another coffee this late. We've also got to go and set up our beds. We'll leave it there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, we'd really appreciate your ratings and comments if you can spare the time. If you'd like to know more about Hike or Die TV and keep track of our adventures around Australia, make sure you drop by hikeordie.com. That's where you'll find all the information you'll need to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or Pinterest. As always, we appreciate your support. Thanks for listening.